Hello everyone, welcome back to a new What If. In today's What If, it's going to be what if Naruto was a hyuga. This will be a short What If, so I hope you will enjoy. Minato and Kushina still die, however, Minato was part hyuga and is related to Neji. Naruto would be taken in by Hiyashi and would be raised by him. Naruto would still have the Nine Tails inside of him, so Hiyashi would never let Naruto out of the house. Naruto would be trained by Hiyashi every single day, and Naruto would think it was Hiyashi being nice. However, in reality, it was Hiyashi taking out his grudge on the Nine Tails. Naruto would be steadily progressing. He would meet Hinata once or twice, however Hiyashi didn't want the Nine Tails to go near his daughter. Naruto, despite being younger than Neji, would be able to fight him on even terms and sometimes beating Neji. Naruto would be regarded as the most promising member of his clan. However, it was never said to him, as they didn't want to acknowledge the Nine Tails kid. Naruto would enter the academy and would surpass Sasuke and become the #1 student. When they are graduating, Naruto is the top student. However, his father figure, Hiyashi, would still never acknowledge him. Naruto had awakened the power of the Byakugan at a young age, and was a prodigy. However, he still seemed to have fallen short to Hiyashi's expectations. Mizuki would find Naruto sulking and ask him what was up. Naruto would explain his situation, and Mizuki would suggest stealing the Scroll of Sealing and learning a jutsu. Naruto thinks this is a great idea, so he decides to steal the Scroll of Sealing. He manages to master the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and still being half Uzumaki, his chakra reserves were massive. Iruka would appear and ask Naruto why he would do this, and Naruto would explain that Mizuki said that he would be acknowledged by his father if he mastered a jutsu from this scroll. Iruka immediately understood what was going on, and then Mizuki would appear. Mizuki would fight Iruka whilst Naruto ran away. Iruka would then tell Mizuki that Naruto was really strong and a prodigy, and that he acknowledged him. Naruto would then jump in and use the gentle fist technique on Mizuki and knock him away. Naruto would then create 1,000 shadow clones and proceed to beat down Mizuki. Naruto would then be forgiven by Hiruzen and Iruka. However, Hiyashi was extremely annoyed and punished Naruto and told him that he will need to train 10 hours every single day for the next week. Naruto would get through this grueling training and would come out stronger than ever before. Naruto, in this timeline, because he is top of his team, would be placed on Team 8 with Hinata and Shino. Kiba will be placed on Team 7 in Naruto's place. Naruto would then complete Kurenai's test with the others, and then they would start the missions as Team 8. Team 7 would also pass. Team 8 would complete many D-rank missions over a short period of time, and Naruto would continuously train afterwards. A few weeks later, they were told to help back up Team Kakashi as they had run into trouble. They would rush to the bridge and see a near-death Kiba and Sasuke. Naruto would rush in to the ice mirrors and proceed to use the 8 trigrams 64 palm technique to save Sasuke. Kakashi and Kurenai would beat Zabuza, and Haku being evenly matched with Naruto or slightly losing. Haku would then jump in to save Zabuza from Kakashi, and then Naruto would stand there in silence, and he wouldn't give his speech to Zabuza, and instead he would stand in front of Hinata, stopping her from doing anything rash or getting hit by a surprise attack from Zabuza. Sasuke would manage to recover and would see that backup has arrived and would be relieved. Zabuza would manage to beat all of Gato's men and then die alongside Haku. This would conclude the Land of Waves arc. In this timeline, when Kurenai recommended teammates for the tuning exams, their submissions went a lot smoother. They would encounter Neji and he would square off with Naruto, and Rock Lee would be surprised that Neji would have another rival, which would pump him up even more. Neji would use rotation at the same time as Naruto, and Naruto would manage to overpower Neji, knocking him to the ground. Neji would scowl and tell Lee and Tenten to come with him. Everything from then on goes smoothly, and they end up being able to sign up. Lee would still fight Sasuke and win. The written test would begin 5 days later, and Naruto would train every day and would figure out shadow clones increase the speed of his training, and so he uses 10 clones when training. Naruto manages to achieve the 128 palm technique, and also his rotation technique becomes 2 times stronger than Neji's. His air palm is quite a lot stronger as well. The written test would go smoothly, and Naruto getting 100%, and the rest of the team would pass as well. All the same teams would go and pass the Forest of Death exam, and it wouldn't be so bad for them. They would get a few bruises and cuts, however, they would manage to pass and get into the preliminaries. Sasuke would still get the curse mark, however, because he was by far the strongest on his team in this timeline, he would be able to keep it under control. Hiruzen would announce the preliminaries and would explain the rules. The first fight would be Sasuke Uchiha versus Dosu Kinita. Sasuke would eventually be able to overwhelm Dosu and win the fight using a fireball jutsu and using up the last of his chakra. The second fight would be Shikamaru versus Ino, and due to Shikamaru having so much information on Ino's technique, Shikamaru would be able to win. After that is Kankuro versus Tenten, and Kankuro would easily be able to overwhelm Tenten. Choji versus Zaku is the next fight, and unfortunately Choji would lose as he does not have the speed or defenses to beat Zaku at this point in the series. Neji versus Lee would be after that, and Lee would be able to beat Neji when he takes off his weights and uses the second gate. Naruto would be watching Neji, the cockiest person he knew, getting destroyed by Lee, and he would smile. Lee wouldn't get injured as bad as he only used the second gate, and it would take him around a week to recover. The fight after would then be Kin versus Misumi. It would be a tough fight, however Kin would eventually come out on top. The next fight would be Yoroi versus Naruto Hyuga. Naruto would easily beat Yoroi without difficulty. And after that is Gaara versus Temari. Temari would immediately drop out, and Gaara would win by default. The next fight would be Sakura Haruno versus Shino Aburame. Sakura would have no chance and would lose, as Shino uses his strategy skills to win. Finally is Kiba versus Hinata, which Hinata wins in. Naruto would congratulate his teammates on passing, and would say they should go out to celebrate. And Naruto, Shina, and Hinata would have a bonding moment when eating together. Naruto would be inspired by Lee's training, and would decide to train with weights as well. For the entire month, Naruto would train with weights 50% heavier than Lee's. Throughout his training, he would constantly be training his rotation, his 64 palm technique, and 128 palm technique, as well as the air palm and the gentle fist in general. The month would end with Naruto discovering he has the chakra natures of wind and lightning. The exams would then begin, with the first fight being Lee versus Sasuke. The fight would be very close, however Sasuke would manage to win, due to Guy forbidding Lee from using the gates until further notice. Sasuke's Sharingan would be a dual 2 Tomoe, so it was enough to keep up with Lee and eventually beat him. The next match would be Kankuro versus Gaara, and Kankuro would surrender, leaving Gaara the winner. After that is Kin versus Shino, and Shino would use his high intellect and strategy forming skills to beat Kin. Next up is Zaku vs Shikamaru. The fight would end in a draw, with Zaku being unconscious and Shikamaru running out of chakra. Finally would be Naruto vs Hinata, and Naruto would end up winning with relative ease, but he wouldn't hate Hinata and wouldn't overdo it trying to kill Hinata. Naruto would say it was a good fight and help Hinata back inside. For the semi-finals would be Shino vs Gaara, and this would be an easy win for Gaara. And the match after that would be Sasuke vs Naruto, and the fight would be a win for Naruto as he would take off his weights, increasing his speed far above Sasuke's, causing him to get the 3-time-way Sharingan in one eye. However, Naruto would have already shut down almost all of Sasuke's chakra points. And just as Sasuke tries to activate the curse mark, Naruto would shut down his final chakra point, winning him the match and Sasuke falling unconscious. Naruto would be slightly disappointed, as Sasuke wasn't that much of a fight. The finals would be Gaara and Naruto facing off, and Naruto would manage to actually win this, and would use air palms and the 128 palm technique to shut off Gaara's chakra system so fast that his sand couldn't keep up. Gaara was still awake after this, and it would be a shock to him knowing that he lost. He could not draw forth any more power. Gaara would then suddenly transform into his monster form, and the Leaf Invasion would begin. Naruto would release the Genjutsu immediately, and would retreat for the time being. Gaara would run away, and Hinata would try to follow him. Naruto would see this, however at the same time he would be attacked by several ninja. Naruto would immediately use rotation to destroy these ninja, and Naruto would then follow after Hinata, not because Hiyashi would kill him if something happened to Hinata, but for some reason he had grown attached to Hinata and Shino as well. He wanted to go save Hinata. Naruto would proceed to catch up to Hinata, getting beat up by Gaara. Hinata would then get thrown. However, Naruto would catch her and would be extremely annoyed that someone would do this to a teammate. Naruto would begin using QB chakra and would summon thousands of clones that would pummel Gaara, leaving him on near unconsciousness and all his chakra being drained. Temari and Kankuro would see Naruto standing over Gaara, and they would be in awe as Naruto defeats someone who they considered to be invincible, and Hiruzen would still die. Naruto for the next week would train intensely, using 20 clones, and he had almost mastered Wind Release, being able to flow it into his kunai and shuriken, as well as learning the air bullet technique. Hiyashi would thank Naruto for saving Hinata, and when Naruto would say no problem, Hiyashi would be surprised that Naruto accepted it, despite how badly Hiyashi had treated him. After this, Naruto would go meet with Lee a few weeks later, after training. Naruto would bow his head to Lee and ask him to teach him the technique that he used against Neji. He would say he couldn't do that, and he had to learn from his teacher Guy. However, Lee would tell him that he was away from the village. Word would then get out that Sasuke left the village, and Naruto would decide to come along with Lee, which creates an even stronger team. Everything would go as in canon. However, Kiba would tell Naruto to fight Sasuke for him, as Kiba was not strong enough. So Kiba would decide to help Lee fighting Kimimaro. Naruto would find Sasuke and tell him that he told Kiba that he would bring him back. They would then have their fight, and Naruto wouldn't be using the Kyuubi cloak and was fighting Curse Mark II Sasuke. However, in the end, Sasuke would beat Naruto by stabbing him with a Chidori. Naruto would then begin to leak the Kyuubi chakra and regenerate the wound. It took longer as the seal was stronger due to Naruto not having used as much Ninetales chakra. Kiba would find Naruto bleeding, and Naruto would manage to recover when he was brought back to the village. Sakura would thank Naruto for trying. However, Naruto would let Sakura know that he would get Sasuke back, even if it was the last thing he did. Naruto would be searching for a new teacher when he saw a sage staring into the bath. Naruto would see someone trying to stop him by getting destroyed, and Naruto would ask this man, as he seemed extremely strong, to help him train. Jiraiya would notice who Naruto was and would decide to take him on as his student. Naruto would train and master Rasengan within a month, and Jiraiya would praise him. Naruto would also master the summoning jutsu as well as mastering lightning style in the next month. And they would eventually get Tsunade to become the 5th Hokage on the mission. Jiraiya would then invite Naruto to join him on a 2.5-year journey, and Naruto would accept, and they would set off. And this is it for part 1 of What If Naruto Was a Hyuga. I hope you all enjoyed, and consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video.